The ingredients for our Southwest chicken sausage and rice skillet that you should have received is our sweet Italian chicken sausage. This is actually not like sweet in the way that you're thinking. It just differentiates it from the spicy Italian sausage, which has added crushed red pepper to it. And then we're gonna need some jasmine rice. And we have here an Anaheim chili pepper. Shout out to Southern California. Anaheim is where Disneyland is, and also where this pepper is from. A tomato, a lime, onion. We have some sour cream, Mexican cheese blend, our Warman's smoky Southwest spice blend, chicken stock concentrate, and some Cholula hot sauce. I personally prefer Tapatio over Cholula, but that's okay. And you're gonna need some oil today, water for your rice, a tablespoon of butter, and of course, our good friends, salt and pepper. First, I've preheated my oven to broil. Broil means the heat is coming from the top. So your oven at home, it might be on the bottom drawer. It might be inside the oven, but you just need to set your oven to the broil setting. And we can make our rice. So I'm gonna start by adding 3/4 cups of water. We're gonna add our jasmine rice to this and a pinch of salt. And we're gonna let this come to a boil on high heat. My rice has come to a boil, so I'm gonna go ahead and cover this. And my lid isn't wanting to cooperate. And I'm gonna turn it to low heat, and we're gonna let it simmer all the way on low for about 15 to 18 minutes. I have my tomato that I have washed and dried, and we are just gonna give this a dice. We're gonna start by just cutting this top off and discarding it, and then cutting our tomato in half. And then I don't really like having all the seeds. I just like the outer part of the tomato. So I'm actually gonna cut this part out and into my garbage bowl so that we're just left with the nice, like firm flesh of the, and I did not make it into the garbage bowl. So that we're just left with this like firm flesh of the tomato. So I'm doing that to both sides. Now you don't have to do this. If you want to dice up the whole tomato, feel free. And now from here, I'm going to cut it into strips. And then just line my strips up and give this a good dice. And I'm gonna do that to the other half of my tomato as well. So our Anaheim chili pepper, it's not a very spicy pepper, but anytime you're working with peppers that have heat to it, you should always, always wash your hands immediately afterwards. Trust me, if you've ever touched your face or eyes after dicing up jalapenos, you will know what I'm talking about. So to start, I'm just gonna cut the top off of this, and then I'm gonna cut it in half lengthwise so that I can remove the inner ribs and the seeds. So this side's actually already good. And the seeds is what has the heat to it. So if you want a little extra spice, you can leave them. But we do want to get rid of this white rib here. And so I'm actually going to just kind of pull it off and into my garbage bowl. So as you can see, now that's gone. I'm going to leave a little bit of the seeds. And from here, I'm just going to do the same thing that I kind of did with the tomatoes. I'm going to cut this actually just in half. Depending on how big your pepper is, you know, you might need 3 strips. You might need, you know, just in half like what I'm doing here. And then I'm just going to gather this all together, and I'm going to give these a nice little dice and set them aside as I continue to prep my other vegetables. Now, our onion, we're always gonna do root to tip, okay? So I'm gonna cut this in half. And then I'm gonna go ahead and cut the tip and the root off because we're gonna be thinly slicing these. So we don't need to keep that root intact for dicing. And then I can just peel my outer layer off. And this one wants to be difficult. There we go. All right, so now this is just gonna get thinly sliced. like so. And I'm gonna do this to both parts of my onion. And you can see that they're fairly, you know, thinly sliced. And so they'll cook quickly. The smaller you slice them, the quicker they're gonna cook and caramelize and add that like nice bit of sweetness from the onion. I've washed and dried my lime, and we are gonna zest this again. I'm using my microplaner, but if you do not have one, the small holes of a box grater will work, or you can use a vegetable peeler and just peel pieces of the zest off, and then finally mince it, or even use your knife. But remember, we only want that colored outer layer whenever we're zesting citrus. The white layer, the pith, it's very, very bitter. So I'm gonna zest this whole lime, and then we're gonna quarter it and use it for several different things. And remember, when you're zesting, to always check the back because you're gonna have lots of zest there. Also really important that you zest your citrus whole. You don't want to slice and quarter it. It makes it a lot more difficult to zest. So it's a lot easier to do while it's still whole like this. All right. A little more. So that looks pretty good to me. I think that's enough zest. So that is our zest. And then I'm just going to cut my lime into quarters. And use them throughout the recipe. For our lime crema, I'm going to go ahead and squeeze my sour cream into a small bowl. And then I'm going to add one of my quarters of lime to my citrus juicer. And again, if you don't have this, you can do this into the palm of your hand, making sure to not catch or to catch all the seeds. I'm going to go ahead and do 2, but do, you know, your preference. Okay. And then it needs a little bit of salt. And again, I have some water here next to me. So I'm going to stir these together. And we're looking for like a thinner drizzling consistency. So I'm going to take 1 teaspoon at a time of some water and give it a stir until it reaches, you know, the consistency that I like. That's still a little too thick. So I'm going to add another teaspoon of water. And also, depending on how much lime juice you add, will depend on how much water to add, you know, but it's all personal preference. All right, this is looking a bit more of a drizzling consistency. So I am gonna stop there. For our tomatoes, we're gonna be adding some olive oil to them. If you don't have olive oil, I wouldn't recommend substituting vegetable oil for this because olive oil does have a lighter, fruitier flavor. So if you don't have olive oil, just go ahead and leave it out. But if you do have it, feel free to use it. So I'm going to do a little drizzle of olive oil in there. And then we're going to add some of our lime zest, as much lime zest as you like. And then I am going to add a little bit of lime juice. I think I'm just, because the lime zest has a lot of lime flavor, so I am just going to add that little bit of lime juice and then a little bit of salt and give it a good stir. For my sausage mixture, I'm going to be using a cast iron skillet. The reason being, this is oven safe, so that I can eventually put it directly into the oven under the broiler. If you do not have an oven safe dish, that is okay. You can transfer it to an oven proof dish, but I am going to be starting in my cast iron skillet. I'm putting a little drizzle of olive oil or vegetable oil. For this, it doesn't really matter the way it did with the tomatoes. I'm going to squeeze my chicken sausage into the pan. If my chicken sausage would like to come out. All right. Got the chicken sausage in there. in the oil, and we're gonna cook this and break it up and just cook it for a couple of minutes before adding our onions and peppers. I, though, am gonna go and wash my hands as soon as I get all this sausage out. I've been letting my sausage cook for about 2 minutes, and as it's been cooking, I've been using the side of my rubber spatula to just kind of break it up into small crumbles. And to this, we're gonna add our onion, our pepper, and then the entire content of the warm and smoky spice blend. So I'm gonna let this, I'm gonna mix it all up, and I'm gonna keep cooking this for about 5 to 7 minutes till my onions start to caramelize and reduce down and my sausage is cooked all the way through. My sausage mixture has been cooking for about 7 minutes, and you can see my onions have gotten nice and soft, and same with the peppers. So at this point, if you do not have this cooking in an oven-safe dish, you can go ahead and transfer this mixture to a dish that can go into the oven. If not, if you're using something that can go directly into the oven, then we're gonna add the rest of our ingredients to this. So we're gonna add a tablespoon of butter. We're gonna add a 1/4 cup of water. The entire contents of this chicken stock concentrate. And then our cooked rice. So my rice is cooked and it's nice and tender. And we're gonna add this all in and give it a nice stir. Everything is now all combined, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna top this with my Mexican cheese blend all over the top. And then this is gonna go under the broiler for about 2 to 3 minutes until our cheese gets nice and melted and bubbly. I have removed my sausage and rice from the broiler, and you can see my cheese is all melted and bubbly. And now it is time for you to plate the way you want. So we have our lime crema, our tomatoes. I cut up some of the leftover limes, and then we have the Cholula hot sauce. As always, be creative, and I look forward to seeing your photo.